Share news of local concert events that you may be interested in attending, background information about some of the greatest musical compositions ever written. Tune in weekdays 9 to 10 a.m. and Wednesday from 9 to 10:30.
10 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, the 21st day of July, 2026. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Micklin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air right here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we broadcast at 103.3 FM. And if you're listening to my voice anywhere else on the planet this morning, you've gone to our website to tune in. That's KSJE.com, or maybe you're listening through the KSJE radio app. Or maybe you've asked your smart speaker to play KSJE. Also, welcome to our viewers who are joining us this morning. Those of you who are watching us, the video is streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel. So we're glad that you are with us this morning. Busy morning today. Coming up in the next few moments, my conversation with the new mayor of Aztec. Brett Lanier is here with me to talk about some of the ongoing projects in the city of Aztec, also some of the other things that he is planning on in his term as mayor, the newly selected mayor of Aztec. So join us for that conversation starting in the next few moments right here on KSJE. Later on this hour, as we do on Tuesdays, it's our Adopt a Pet Tuesday segment. We'll be checking in with Amber Francisco over at the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter. She'll be talking to us about some of the pets available for adoption this week, including the dog you see on the screen right there, whose name is Daffy Duck. So we'll learn more about that coming up. 8:50 on KSJE. Next hour, of course, it's classical music. Mick Hess will take us roving with the arts. That's our long-running classical music program here on KSJE. A reminder, you can connect with us on other forms of social media if that's your thing. Find us on Facebook or YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, X, and now Nextdoor. We'll see you over there. And if you're a podcast listener, you can find KSJE podcasts available wherever you listen to podcasts. So check it out. Maybe discover a new local program in your podcast stream and take us with you on your adventures this summer. Also, the way to do that is through the KSJE radio app. It's available at the App Store and on Google Play, so take us with you as well. Outside our studios at San Juan College this morning, it is 70 degrees at the moment, mostly cloudy skies as I look down the hall out the window, but we're expecting a more sunny morning before some increasing clouds this afternoon. A little bit cooler temperatures today with a high of 89 in Farmington, maybe a 20% chance of another shower popping up this afternoon. 50% chance of rain overnight tonight, though, with a low of 67. And then tomorrow, another 50% chance of showers on Wednesday with a high of 82 and a low of 68. Partly sunny skies on Thursday with a high of 86, warming up to 92 with sunshine on Friday, 93 on Saturday, and 94 with partly sunny skies on Sunday with overnight lows in the mid to upper 60s to lower 70s. Back with my guest, the mayor of Aztec, right after this on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. It's physician-led and supported by specialists, so patients can receive the treatment they need right here at home. When every minute matters, dedicated caregivers are here for you. San Juan Regional Medical Center, serving the Four Corners region for generations. Find out more at sanjuanregional.com.
Now back to Studio A and the award-winning Scott Micklin Morning Program on KSJE.
Back in the studio with me this morning, as I mentioned, my guest today, the new mayor of Aztec. Joining me here in the studio, Brett Lanier is here. Mayor Lanier, welcome back to KSJE. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you again. Appreciate it.
You bet. Congratulations. We were just talking about the last time you were here, you were running for city commissioner.
Yes, sir.
And you won that election, and here you are now as being selected by your fellow commissioners as the new mayor of Aztec.
Yep, I believe I'm the 60th mayor of Aztec, and it was very honoring having all of them vote yes to have me as the mayor.
Unanimous.
Yes.
Okay, very good. I would dare say you might be the youngest mayor of Aztec. I don't know if that holds up to scrutiny or not.
Yeah, I am 37. I've been looking into that. I can't officially say, but that might very well be it.
One of the youngest mayors. How's that? That we
I
can
like
say.
that. I
We
like
can
that,
say.
yes.
But it's good to have you here. There's a lot of things going on with the city, so I wanted to kind of touch base with you about some of those things. I guess first and foremost, last Friday, the city announced stage 2 kind of water restrictions for the city of Aztec, and so that's important, I think, for folks to understand kind of what that means, why the city kind of took that that action, I guess, too, and what's next, maybe. Of course, we just had some pretty good rain last night, but we're still kind of in a pretty severe drought in the area.
Yes, we are in a pretty severe drought. We've been on stage 1 for quite some time. Stage 2 comes in as the animus is lower. Our water pumps at our water station, they reach certain levels, so that's when the decision was made to go on stage 2 restrictions.
Okay.
And what that means is there are certain days of the week, certain times that you want to water, things of that nature.
Depending on your address, that's the days that you can water,
Yes.
basically, right?
Yes, even in odd addresses, things of that nature. So
Got it. And basically, I mean, the city of Aztec has a pretty limited, I guess, choice when it comes to water. You are really using the Animas River for your water supply. That's pretty much your
that is our main supply,
right?
Yes.
And then you have storage tanks, of course, but those need to be refilled. And so if there's no water in the river, you can't refill those tanks.
Right, and we have some reservoirs as well. So
That's true. Very true. But still, they're limited in their capacity
Yes.
as well, right?
Yes.
So if everyone's using what they normally use, that drains those a little bit faster, I guess,
very
than
correct.
into these restrictions. And the other issue, of course, folks may remember, if you're old enough, there is a water line that goes to your neighboring community of Bloomfield. And so that was used, 20 years ago or so, I think,
it
in
was,
the
2002.
last drought,
Yeah.
to get water over the hill to Aztec from the San Juan River. And so that's still, I guess, an option.
That is an option.
Right.
I know they tested it last year. It's fully functional.
Good.
But we're looking at replacing that line as it does need replaced.
Okay.
So, but that is a kind of a last resort to get water.
Right, and it does go both ways, I would say, because I
Yes.
know I think Aztec has sent water to Bloomfield when it was needed because of some water pumping problems and things
Yep.
like that. So it's a nice thing to be able to have back and forth between those two communities.
Yeah, and that's where I really see that both communities having a good relationship. That's a perfect example of why we're friends, why we're neighbors.
There you go. Very good. And so as mayor, I guess it's stuff like that you want to do more of, I guess, with your neighboring communities and looking at some of these projects and things that maybe need to be maintained or upgraded so that if you need to use it, it's ready to go. It can be used.
Yes, that is correct.
Things along that line.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another project. I don't know if it's near and dear to your heart, but we talked about it a lot, the Aztec Arterial Project, which is coming, I think, to a close, hopefully sooner than later, is the idea?
Yeah, sooner than later. We were last updated on September is when it'll be looking to be opened. There's some little final touches, some striping, some guardrails. They're seating right now.
Okay.
There'll be some fencing.
So to hear you correctly, it's going to be open in September. That's about
what we're planning.
2 months from now.
Hoping, cross our fingers, NMDOT will pass the inspection, and that part will be open.
Okay. Very good. Long time coming.
Long time coming.
And so it's been touted as, this way to certainly get heavy truck traffic off of Main Avenue, and certainly that makes a lot of sense, and just, move it around and bypass kind of downtown and things along that line. And then maybe more development along the arterial route, but you were telling me before there's not a lot of utilities along that route, so that may be a little bit longer to happen. I guess it may not happen right away.
So yeah, they didn't put utilities in, but I believe that will be coming. I think it'll be good for organic growth for other manufacturing type companies.
Right.
The oil field right now, they're bringing quite a bit of work. So there is that. And what the idea is, back in the day, I guess, when that road is done and complete, NMDOT takes over that road. And then Aztec takes over Main Street, which I think is a great idea because then we
Right.
can shut down any time of day for festivals, parades, things of that nature.
Right.
Community events. But that's in the making. That's quite a ways out. So
Gotcha. But that would be the idea, I guess,
Yes.
right? And so,
Yes.
I guess the bypass then would then become 550, right, as it goes around the city of Aztec.
I can't say on that, but
Okay.
I would imagine so. I
Probably.
would consider it 550.
Yeah, but that's exciting. And again, more access, I guess, for vehicles heading out to the lake because it kind of connects up with Navajo Dam Road and the park that's up there too, and,
Yep,
and
Tiger Pond
and all the other infrastructure that the city has been investing in, I think, in
Yes.
that part of town. So that's got to be exciting for that finally to be done.
Yes, I am excited for it. I know a lot of people are excited. It is the biggest project to date that I'm aware of that Aztec has undertaken. So it'll be
Right.
a really good thing once it's done and complete. and get those trucks off Main Street. There's a lot of trucking right now. So
Right, a lot of it for sure. And I think you were quoted as saying, maybe it was in the newspaper article that just came out, about showing this project could show the state that Aztec can work with the state on a big dollar project like this and get it done and get it completed and things like that. Is that,
Yeah,
did
as
I
long
remember
as-
that correctly, that quote?
yes, to really look good for the state for future funding. Like, hey, we took on this project, and we can do it, complete it in a timely manner, and just being efficient about it. Really just showing that we can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And take care of taxpayer money.
Right,
So-
right. Very important.
Yes.
So let me ask you to talk about a bit of what's on your list. What's on your priorities list now as a city commissioner or as also mayor of Aztec? What would you like to see accomplished?
Well, first and foremost, of course, Aztec's form of government, we're a little different. My position being the mayor and the other commissioners, we are all equals. So it's not really up to me as the mayor, but it's all of us coming together. Right now, our priority is getting a city manager. We need a city manager because that's our link to the city government and operations. So we definitely need a city manager.
Well, that's your one employee, right?
That's our number one guy, yes.
The city council can hire and fire the city manager, and then the city manager hires the other department heads and things
Yes.
like that with council approval, I think, right?
So it is the most important position in the city, I believe.
Right.
And then, of course, the arterial road, make sure that goes smoothly and get it open. That is priority. I know our legislators, they've been pushing on that and finding the dates of when that's opened. The other priorities is...
You said September, so that's what we're going with. Okay,
I
yes, sir.
am.
All
I
right.
am. And then we got key positions to fill in the city. You know, we have a public works director, as of recently an electric director, and then several other positions, but we need key positions there to be filled. And then from there, I think this rain was a perfect example of the storm drainage issues that Aztec has had, and I would like to go to the commission and recommend that we do a workshop and get a plan going forward and to really take care of that issue, because the old 100-year-old rainstorm, the old 100-year-old flood, it's going to be coming, I believe, and I want Aztec to be prepared for that.
Right. We're seeing some reports this morning of a lot of folks in Aztec and around the county, I should say, too, cleaning up. There was some heavy rains and wind last night with the storm that moved through,
Yep.
but a lot of, I think, mud in downtown Aztec, and so that's what you're talking about. Is
A lot of mud, yes,
some
a
of these
lot of
things
mud.
that maybe could be done a project to kind of divert some of that or could better control some of that. And it seems like these 100-year floods are happening more frequently than 100 years. That's kind of the designation, I guess, of why
Yeah.
they're called that, right?
Yeah.
But we're kind of seeing them more and more frequently, it sounds like.
Storms
to me.
are getting more severe, it seems like. I know, I believe it was 1919, some of the old pictures of the railroad bridges, the trains are knocked over, the flood's coming up, and that's the flood that I worry about.
Right.
So, because I mean, if that comes down, we're talking homes and buildings being wiped out potentially. So, just not
Sure.
to scare people, but coming
Right.
down the road, that's something I would like to recommend to our commission to look at and address and take action on it.
Exactly. That was probably a river flood more than just a storm
Yes.
coming through, but a
Yes.
storm up north that
Yes.
caused the river to get higher for sure. But we should remember too, there really isn't a lot of any flood control on the Animas River. That's kind of the main difference of the Animas compared to the San Juan.
Yeah.
That it's kind of uncontrolled. So if there's a lot of water coming down, it's coming down.
It's going to come down,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
if it's orange or not, or a lot of it, or what have you, it comes
Yep.
down. We know that. So that's interesting. And let me go back to the city manager conversation for just a moment, because I think Aztec's seen this will be your third city manager in about 2 years,
Yes, and there's been several there in a short amount of time.
right?
The reasonings behind that, I'm not too aware of, not too sure. I know this past city manager, he was doing some good things regarding policies and getting back to following policy, and but his reasoning for leaving, it's kind of unknown to me.
I see. Okay.
There are some reasons, but
Sure.
I think there's more to it that I don't know.
Got it.
So.
But it was more city manager initiated, not the city initiated,
Yes,
of
that-
the
it was-
separation, I guess, is what I'm trying to
Yeah, the
ask.
separation was strictly initiated by him.
I see.
Yes.
Got it. So that's why the help wanted sign is back out. So I guess if folks are interested in applying for any of these positions, they can go on to the city website and find all the details on
Yep.
how to apply for some of these jobs, the other department head jobs that you mentioned as well that are available too.
Yeah, and it's for good old Aztec. It's my hometown. I believe it's a great place to be and a great place to work.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, for lunch, there's great places to go eat too.
True. That's very true.
So-
And that's important. And you've got a big history with Aztec. I think, part of your campaign was talking a little bit about your connections to the city and growing up there and it being a part of your life. You're raising a family there. You have another baby literally on the way as we speak.
Any day, our third baby will
Any
be here.
minute, I think, right? And so you are definitely on call. So if you get up and leave in the middle of this interview, that's the understanding of what's going on. But that's very exciting as well. But what are your memories of growing up in Aztec? What are your fond memories of growing up in Aztec, New Mexico?
So my family, my parents, they grew up they had their house on Arnold, right up from Vanilla Moose.
Yeah.
And me and old Gordy Crane's son, Josh, we would take our bikes and we thought we were running away, thinking we're going across this big old town. It was like a mile, but we had a heyday, and we always did that. We always went out riding our bikes, getting down to the old BMX track, which we're having another BMX track coming.
Right.
But just being hooligans, running through the washes, going on the hills, making forts. It was a good old time.
Nice.
Good old time. And I remember between all the parades, the Festival of Lights, there was some fun stuff happening. Just seemed as a kid growing up in Aztec in the 90s and early 2000s, it was a good time. Good time to be a kid.
Nice. Do you want to bring some of that back, you think, or in a different way, perhaps, for
I
the
would
community?
I'd love to bring back more community-focused events. I really believe a town of our size, that's what really should be a goal, is making the community stronger than ever before. It's what I would love to see back again for Aztec. We are bringing back the BMX track. I believe they'll be done building their track by end of October, hopefully. And then looking down the road, with one good thing with Aztec right now is our Aztec Chamber of Commerce. Very strong core group there, and I look forward to meeting with them. And Hannah, hope you're here listening.
Right.
I'd like to come to you about some more events coming down the road. So.
Very good. Yeah, it seems like the chamber certainly has some new energy. Certainly, it's been reorganized, I think, a little bit, and more active. A lot more events that the chamber's putting on. I think if anyone's listening to us and they're not a member of the Aztec Chamber, maybe to seek them out. If you're not ready to become a member, maybe start going to some of the events and just seeing the networking opportunities that are there, like any chamber of commerce, I think, in any community. But a lot of great opportunities for businesses and the community to kind of get together at some of these networking events with the chamber.
These network events, they're the most people I've seen attended there. I mean, it's really cool when you have Farmington Redcoats, Bloomfield people coming and supporting not just the Aztec Chamber of Commerce, but you're supporting the local businesses there on Main Street and within the town.
Right.
And that I haven't seen that before, and I think that is amazing. So
nice.
They've done a lot of good work. Hannah and her team, they've done a great job.
Nice.
So.
And I want to ask you a little bit, too, about the role of the city in some of these projects. You mentioned the BMX track, and certainly the city can't maybe get into the BMX track business of running it, but to partner with an organization that has enthusiasts that want to have a place to ride their BMX bikes and things like that, and to be able to provide maybe the space and a little bit of support. Is that kind of how the city can work with some of these groups?
Yeah,
so it's not shouldering the cost of everything, right?
Yeah, so how we did it, we made an MOU with them, and they're going to be down at the Riverside Park.
Right.
I believe it's a north parking lot there. That's a lot of times it's unused space. They're going to utilize that space, and that's our partnership with them. So.
Gotcha. But then still utilizing the rest of the park, I guess, too,
yes.
As well. And that's kind of the city's side of it, to maintain and be able to offer that to the folks at the BMX park.
Very much, yeah. We maintain the rest of the park, things of that nature. And BMX, they got a great group. They have a national connection, which a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge there for them to be able to maintain their track and keep everything's kosher. So
yeah, very good. Congratulations. And about other businesses that come into Aztec, I know you work a lot. The city works a lot with economic development, certainly, but the city's not in the job of running Taco Bells or putting businesses into certain spots in the city. You can certainly work with someone who wants to do that, but I'm not sure the public always recognizes maybe why there isn't a business that they would like to have in the city, and what's wrong with the city. Why can't they just put in one of these businesses that I want to see on Main Avenue or going out of town or whatever it might be?
Well, I mean, there are zoning regulations, things of that nature. But yeah, I definitely don't want to see the city running operations. I mean, we all know how government is, and I definitely do not want to see that. Of course, it'll increase taxes and things like that, so we don't want to do that. What we do want is the partner with businesses to come in, have them in the best spot, best locations. In fact, our community development director, Andrew DiCamillo, he does a phenomenal job with making those relationships, making that work. In fact, he's the main one that brought in a Tractor Supply.
Right,
And
that's
so
going in right there on Main Street, right, Main Avenue, isn't
That's
it?
going to be a big deal for us. Really, really awesome to see in that.
And
But,
utilizing kind of an existing building too, kind of that infill kind of idea, or is
yeah,
that
so
kind of part of it?
They took down that
They took it out,
the old lumber building,
but they're filling that space.
But they're filling that space and utilizing it. And it's going to be beautiful when it's all done.
Nice,
Here shortly, actually. So
Right.
next several months.
very good, exciting. And so that's I guess again the way that the city kind of has to operate is with these developers that want to come in, or these franchisees that want to open up a store, restaurant, whatever it might be, and looking at a piece of property, seeing what the zoning is, and then maybe the city can work with it a little bit. Maybe you have a few little tools, a little enhancements that you can make it a little more, help out with some costs. I don't know.
Yeah, we do have funds set aside that can help businesses. Of course, it's definitely not anti-donation, nothing like that.
Right.
The anti-donation.
Not a blank
clause.
check either.
Yeah, we do get what we expect in return is GRT, more business, which
Yeah.
goes to other businesses as well for their business. So we do stuff like that. The recent urgent care, we had worked with them, moving some power pole lines around, whatever can help them out be a better business. That's what we've done. Tractor Supply, we've done similar things with them, moving some utility lines around, things of that nature. So we definitely, me personally, I definitely want to see us help businesses and have that partnership of supporting them and doing whatever we can to help them come in and just making it right.
Right.
And showing that we are business friendly and that we do want business there. So.
Very good. Is there any business you'd like to see in Aztec, or type of business you'd like to see in Aztec? More manufacturing, more restaurants, more retail, or anything like that?
I
Or all
believe
the above?
manufacturing would be phenomenal. Actually, we are at the epicenter of our surrounding sister states, who are just booming. I mean, you have the AI industry, these data centers, of course, the hot topic.
Right.
But the one thing about all that stuff is the jobs it brings in those areas, but the certain things that they need. They need vendors of manufacturing vendors, and I think we are at the perfect area to do that kind of stuff and organically grow and bring long-term type jobs in. I mean, a perfect example is Space Agile up in Durango. Phenomenal company, but there are certain components that I think we could have somebody come in locally and build and make.
Right.
And that's a long-term type industry as well.
Sure.
So,
Very true. You mentioned data centers, and don't want to put you on the spot, but you're not suggesting data centers in Aztec necessarily
No,
without
definitely-
a big
definitely.
study, or at least a lot of conversations about it, right?
yes, exactly. That's definitely nothing that would be an Aztec right now. Our infrastructure wouldn't even hold that.
Right.
So
And no conversations, no plans,
no plans, no
nothing
conversations, nothing is on the books.
Just want to be clear.
I am just watching the social media stuff
Sure.
happening. So
There's a lot of conversations about it, for sure. That's true. And we can't talk about business and manufacturing in Aztec without giving a shout out to Jack's Plastic Welding, another great
Yes,
Aztec business, again, who kind of puts Aztec on the map with some of their products, of course, and now they've gone into space and helped out with some of the space travel and the space capsule and splashdown and all that. So
Yeah,
just
I was actually-
quick shout out to them.
I actually reached out to them the other day when saw their business, how it operated. Their CEO, he was telling me on some of the stuff they made for the space program.
Right.
They had to take to the park to inflate, make sure it worked, because inside it was just too small inside.
okay.
So it was really cool seeing their business
Right from Aztec.
from Aztec, right in the middle of Aztec. So
Exactly. So
Very
it can,
proud of that.
it can be done.
it can be done.
It can be done, which is very, very exciting. My guest this morning is Brett Lanier. He is the new selected mayor of Aztec, selected by the fellow city commissioners unanimously. He's talking to me a little bit about his plans for the city of Aztec. But you mentioned that you're not necessarily have a lot more power as mayor than a city councilor has, but still, as mayor, you have certain requirements and certain parts that goes with the job, I guess, too, not just cutting ribbons and smiling and things like that, but you do get to kind of lead some of the conversation, don't you, at some of the city commission meetings and talk about what you'd like to see on an agenda and what types of direction you'd like to see the city go as mayor?
Yeah, so for the meetings, I am the ceremonial head. I'm the chairman, and I lead the meeting. So of course, I'm leading it in the right direction and making sure we're staying on track for the direction of the city. That is important.
Right.
But yeah, there is no difference in power. The city of Farmington, city of Bloomfield, those mayors, they're kind of like the CEOs of those towns. Whereas me, I'm a voice on our commission. I just represent represent the commission, and I lead the meetings. That's
Okay.
a big difference.
Got it. All right. Very good. Talking about meetings, let me ask you a bit about public comment. I mean, that's an opportunity for citizens to come and address the city council and talk about almost any issue, I guess, that they'd like to talk about. You require that they kind of sign in, I think, and then take a limited amount of time during the meeting, or you'd be there all night, I think, right? But
Yeah, we could be.
it's another, I think, important part of the democratic process to hear from your constituents. And is that something that you enjoy during the meetings, or at least learn new things from your neighbors during the meetings?
That is one of my favorite aspects of the meeting, because anybody can come and speak, and you can come and speak whatever is on your mind, no matter what it is. And I like it so much. I find it so interesting because it takes a lot of courage to get up to that podium. Like, everyone can speak and say this outside the meeting, but you come up to that podium, it takes a lot of courage. So anybody that does come and speak, I commend them. I think it's amazing. And there's quite frankly, there's information there that sometimes I haven't heard. I don't know. So I encourage anybody to come and speak an issue, a concern, a praise, anything. So I think those are good moments. They really hear to our constituents. It is their time to speak their mind.
Very good. Just a couple of minutes remaining this morning with you, Mayor Lanier, and you have famously said, I think, that you don't own a television.
That is correct.
You don't want to own a television.
I do not want to own a television.
And I'm hoping you do own a radio.
I have a radio in my truck.
Okay. Uh-oh. And so let me ask you a little bit about, but you do a lot of research. You do, I think, a lot of reading and try to be informed as much as any
Yes.
person can these days.
Yes.
And so talk to us a little bit about how you do that. What's your diet of information? Where do you go for some of that
I'll say
information?
first and foremost, and I'm very proud to say my number one reading is I read the Bible. I love reading the Bible every day. If anybody has never read the Bible, the book of Proverbs, there is so much wisdom, a wealth of wisdom in there that can pertain to anybody. So that's my number one source of information.
Okay. All right.
I read a lot of other books, but for news and information of that sort, LinkedIn is great. Heart Energy is great. I'm in the oil and gas, so that's really
Right.
pertains to me.
Okay.
I utilize, it used to be Twitter, now it's called X. There's a lot of independent people on there that I follow and are really good, very informative. Other than that, I tend to avoid the news stations. Of course, obviously I don't have a TV, but I can find it on social media, but I do avoid those.
But you talked about social media, so you must kind of monitor, or at least
I definitely
peruse some of the comments
Yes.
and themes of social media from time to time.
I definitely monitor social media because there are important stuff there, and important stuff in the county, important stuff in our homes. Here in this community, there's a lot of great stuff happening, a lot of good news. So I definitely monitor that.
Okay, very good. Well, Mayor Lanier, it's great to catch up with you. Nice to visit with you. Thank you for coming over and talking a little bit about your plans. And certainly, it's always fun to talk about the city of Aztec. So appreciate
It's
it.
my hometown. I love it, and thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Come back anytime. That is Mayor Brett Lanier, soon to be new dad Brett Lanier, with me here on KSJE.
What's going on with the AI bond binge? From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech. I'm Megan McCarty-Carino.
Marketplace Tech is supported by Progressive. Progressive Commercial Insurance offers personalized rates and customizable coverages for your business vehicles. More at progressivecommercial.com.
The big tech companies driving the AI boom are expected to spend more than $700 billion on data center infrastructure